Nizar, institutional leaders, I'd like to begin by saying how deeply happy I have been during these days with my Jamaat in Canada. When I came to Canada, when I was preparing this visit, I tried to prioritize the issues that needed to be addressed during this visit and for the years ahead for the Jamaat. And a number of those issues affected the status of the Jamaat in Canada. It affected the ability of the Jamaat in Canada to achieve goals for Murids who are not in Canada, affected the status of institutions in Canada, Jamati institutions in Canada. These were, in my mind, foundation stones which needed to be set in place so that the Jamaat in the decades ahead would be able to build solidly for future generations. And what were those foundations? First was the ability, the right to practice freely throughout Canada our tariqah of Islam. And this meant, first of all, that there should be Jamaat khanas, proper Jamaat khanas, that said the appropriate thing about our Jamaat in Canada in as many concentrations of the Jamaat in Canada as possible. This has been a slow process, slower perhaps than you or I would have wished. But it was a process that needed to be slow if it was going to be sound. We could have moved too quickly, we could have made mistakes, and those mistakes would have been carried forward by improper buildings in the wrong place, over-expensive, the improper, wrong programs for the buildings, etc. And I didn't want that to happen. The second important issue was the recognition of the constitutional bodies of the Jamaat as representing the Jamaat in Canada. And that meant that the National Council of Canada needed to be recognized de facto as the body that represents the Jamaat in Canada across the country. That today has taken place. Today, the Government of Canada, provincial governments, dialogue with the National Council or the local councils about Jamati matters in Canada and Jamati matters outside Canada. And the most recent proof of that is the fact that the National Council today is the body which will be responsible for bringing to Canada the 340 Afghan refugees who are still in Delhi. That is a small step, but it is a highly significant step. The third issue was the identity, the focus on quality, competence, and leadership within the Jamaat. In other words, Canada had to recognize that though our Jamaat may have established itself in unhappy and difficult situations in Canada for the majority of you, that is not the situation of the Jamaat today. I think the appointment of Nur Jahan Mawani as the chairperson of the Immigration Board of Canada is a significant proof that individual leadership today is recognized outside the Jamaat as being capable of coming from the Jamaat. And that is one example, and it is only one example. So when I came to Canada, I had a certain number of foundation stones in my mind that I hoped to see in place. They are all in place today. And I want to say that they are in place due to the leadership of the Jamaat, to the way in which you have built strength, stability, competence in the Jamaat in Canada. And I think the Jamaat in Canada and outside must express its gratitude to you for these magnificent achievements. So we have today some important foundation stones on which to build. But what of the future? What is your vision of the future? What do we need that we do not yet have in Canada? Have you a sense of what the answers are? These are some of the issues that we should be looking at. Practical issues for the Jamaat in Canada. Education. Without any doubt, it is a question that deserves looking at. It's complex, it's difficult, but it needs to be looked at. Housing. A large percentage of the Jamaat still today is using substantial quantities of resources on housing. And those resources are not investment, they are cash outflow. And therefore, one needs to look at the issue of housing. Education, not only in terms of schools, but in terms of higher education. The cost of higher education is severe. The motivation to achieve higher education is not strong enough. What needs to be done? Better planning, better career development, better thinking about the years ahead. That is another issue that needs to be looked at. These, therefore, are some of the questions that I wish to leave with the leaders of the Jamaat at the end of this visit. I would also like this evening to say how happy I have been with the organization of my visit to Canada. The forewarning I gave the National Council was short. And it's holiday time for many families. So what I have seen today, during the last 13 days that I've been here, has been the demonstration of the Canadian Jamaat to organize itself magnificently. And I have a sense that each organization now understands what it should be doing, it goes out and does its work, and it is effective. That's recognized outside the Jamaat and within the Jamaat. And I want to end this evening, these few comments, by saying that from the Prime Minister down, our Jamaat in Canada today is identified, respected, admired, and welcomed. To have achieved that is a magnificent achievement. So I hope that you will keep these words in mind, because I say them to you in my knowledge of what is felt by the government and others within Canada. On this, you can build a magnificent future. You will have to address some difficult questions, but I don't think there's a place on earth where difficult questions do not arise from time to time. So I don't think you should be more worried about them in Canada than anywhere else. Simply accept the fact that they need to be thought about. Your blessing is that you can think about them in a peaceful society, in a society which wants to see you develop your identity and your institution, and which has the resources, the intellectual and human resources, which it can share with us to achieve the goals that we have. Therefore, you start today from a different position from many other Jamaats around the world who do not have that environment in which to work. It has been a wonderful visit. I will be very sad to leave, but as Nizar has said, please come back soon. I will try and come back soon. So I will try and meet his requests. And I want to leave with you tonight my best blessings for a magnificent visit. I hope you are happy that I share with you the real issues, because that is the nature of leadership, is to tackle real issues. And your success in Canada is because you are tackling real issues with competence and wisdom. And Nizar has said it's the Imam. No, it's the leadership of the Jamaat in Canada that has achieved these goals. I will continue to leave you with difficult questions. I will look at the answers you propose. I will assist you in developing solutions. But ultimately, it is the leadership of Canada, of the Jamaat in Canada, every day, that is what achieves these results. Congratulations, congratulations, and more congratulations. And may this bring you barakat every day, the happiness of leadership and the success of leadership. Congratulations.